specialty and that of my lab is remote sensing of oil in the marine environment. And by remote sensing, I mean detecting oil by methods when you're not there, not being able to actually see it come out of the ground. Although we certainly do that, and we do pay attention to natural seeps. But most often we use images collected by orbiting satellites using synthetic aperture radar. And also we've been using small aircraft that fly over the Gulf operated by volunteer pilots.
So I'm a research scientist, and my expertise is in observations of the water column using a variety of tools, primarily remote sensing through satellite and spaceborne assets, but also using in situ optical information by which we are looking at changes in light, either induced by us or natural, that tell us something about the content of the water column.
Well, we've looked at the incidence of naturally occurring seeps. We've looked at the incidence of what we call anthropogenic seeps. These are production platforms, drilling platforms and so forth that are providing chronic background hydrocarbons discharges into the environment. And we've spent a lot of time looking at the satellite image archive covering the entire period of the spill, and we're trying to put together a comprehensive picture of natural and unnatural oil on the surface of the Gulf of Mexico.
Our interest is in trying to understand how phytoplankton, these are microscopic plants that grow, single-cell plants that grow in the water, how they may be affected by oil and hydrocarbons in the water. Essentially, phytoplankton form the base of the food chain, and we need to understand how the community of phytoplankton might change based on inputs of hydrocarbon that comes from seeps. In the case of ECOGIG, we're interested in using the natural seeps as analogs for inputs of hydrocarbon into the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, the natural seepage is prevalent and it's widespread, but it's nowhere near the volume and concentration that we experienced during the Deepwater Horizon discharge. It's rough numbers, about, on an annual basis, about 10% of the total discharge of the Deepwater Horizon enters into the Gulf of Mexico from natural sources. But keep in mind that that's spread over the entire Gulf and continues 365 days of the year, 24 hours a day. So when you're considering the potential impact, you have to realize that natural sources are greatly diluted compared to the highly concentrated source that was experienced during the Deepwater Horizon discharge.
So Gulf of Mexico is extremely complex, and trying to get simple answers from that is a fool's errand. And what we have been finding is that a lot of the effects that we see are driven by multiple factors. In other words, it's not just one thing that is a simple cause and effect. It is many things that act together. And what we are trying to do is sort out between the various aspects of the causes to understand what the effects might be.
I think we were surprised by how quickly the oil seemed to disappear from the environment, but at the same time how long-lasting the effects were. So it's a bit of a contradiction there. I've been impressed by the responsiveness of the seafloor to the input of oil in the vicinity around the wellhead. And I've also been reminded of just how much real estate there is under the water and just how many resources there are, biological resources that we weren't fully aware of. We don't know, what are the tests to measure, how do we measure the health of this great big ecosystem? We barely scratched the surface. This is a big job, a big old job. And, hopefully we've got some great people working on it and a lot of good intention, and we just need to keep it going.